Hi, I'm Jane King, and this is New to the Street in person back here at the NASDAQ market site in New York City. This show is all about public, private, and blockchain companies, how the CEOs, the founders, and the innovators bringing you lots of opportunities to consider. Here we go. Acurax Pharmaceuticals is a publicly held clinical stage biopharmaceutical company developing a new class of antibiotics for infections caused by bacteria that are listed as priority pathogens by the World Health Organization, the CDC, and others, FDA as well. So the CEO, David Luci, is here with me to explain. Now, tell me about your lead antibiotic candidate, because I know it's going to be doing phase 3 clinical trials soon, right?
Yes.
Okay, so talk to me about that candidate and what you expect out of those trials.
Thank you, Jane. It's a really exciting time. We just announced our top-line data on ibezapolstat, our lead antibiotic to treat C. difficile infection. And that data is clinically comparable to the standard of care, vancomycin, and we're going on to phase 3. We'll be meeting with the FDA in the first quarter. The data was phenomenal for ibezapolstat in phase 2. Altogether, the 2A component, 2B component, we were 25 out of 26 cures, 96.15%. In the phase 2B, oral vanc did better than it usually does. It got 14 out of 14 patients, but looked at within the context of their 37 years of data, 2,000 patients that we have evaluated, they have an average cure rate of 85.5%. So with that in mind, and with Merck's fidaxomicin at 88%, both of which have a lot of reinfections, and we have none, we're really excited to be moving on. We have a robust package to move to phase 3.
Yeah, I always remember the first time we talked about this, you talked about how there hasn't been anything to treat the C. diff in decades, and it just seems like it's kind of been just sitting there as a problem, and nobody's really done anything about it until you came along.
Yeah, it's true, and you know, a lot of big companies fell by the wayside. Recently, Pfizer had a vaccine for frontline therapy. They projected it to be a $1.05 billion opportunity. We agree with those numbers for frontline for C. diff, and they failed phase 3. Sanofi failed phase 3. Finch went by the wayside. Summit Therapeutics failed phase 3. So we literally are the next antibiotic up to bat with the FDA. There's no one closer to FDA approval than us in the C. diff space, and we're going into phase 3. And not only are we going into phase 3 with the FDA, we're going to leverage all of the time and money and effort, the preclinical and clinical package, and after we meet the FDA, we're going to leverage that data and we're going to go to the European Medicines Agency.
Okay, interesting. Now, this vancomycin.
Yes.
Right, okay, it was approved in 1986?
To treat C. difficile, yes. Originally approved in 1958, but for C. diff in 1986.
Got it, and it has a high reoccurrence rate, right?
30% recurrence rate.
Okay, and that's just exactly the problem that you're trying to address.
Exactly, and I think that high recurrence rate and the fact that it's a broad spectrum antibiotic which destroys the microbiome, I think that's why Pfizer and Sanofi wanted to knock it off as frontline therapy in a $1.7 billion market, because they had a vulnerable frontline therapy to beat.
Okay, now you just said $1.7 billion market, so how big could this C. diff treatment be?
Well, if the data continues with the characteristics we've seen so far in phase 3, we agree with the Pfizer CFO, who's in Fierce Biotech, and identified it as over $1 billion product.
Okay. Well, David, please keep us up to date on this, because I know you're entering this crucial phase for the treatment, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks so much. We have a lot of data coming out in the next 90 days, and stay tuned. I hope to give you an update.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.
Reliance Global Group is an insurance tech company transforming the traditional insurance agency model. And with me is the founder and CEO, Ezra Beyman. Great to have you here.
Same here.
So tell me about your background and how you came to found the company?
Okay. In the private world, we did a combination of first starting a mortgage company in 1985 from my basement, then growing into the number 3 residential mortgage broker in the country by about early 2000s. Simultaneously buying multifamily real estate, a lot of it in 17 different states. And then starting to buy insurance agencies privately before the public company in about 2000, I think 2005 maybe was our first, I think so.
Okay.
And then when we went public, we first went OTC, then graduated to NASDAQ and started doing acquisitions. I think it's important to stress that I treat it like the private world. I put $5 million of my own into the company,
Yeah.
not just milking Wall Street.
Yeah. So describe the company today. What is
Today, we have about 8 agencies that we've bought, but a strong focal point of that is 5-Minute Insure, which is our own technology, which we developed. Grant has spoken to you about it, that it's really very sophisticated. We don't know of anything really that really compares to it in the industry. It's literally in 5 minutes or less, you get quotes from 30, maybe more carriers, and within minutes you can actually get the best coverage or give you a few choices of what the best, cheapest, the most efficient, etc., and you could bind it right there. And that's, our agents do that, and that's the idea of RELI Exchange all coming under one umbrella to do that, giving technology, and it's working.
Yeah. So talk about what differentiates you versus other companies that do similar things.
Okay. So the other companies that do purely tech and using technology to get business, that's a very heavy marketing, very almost prohibitive business, going out after 350 million Americans.
Okay.
We've learned that using the agents who have their own business anyway, so we don't have to spend on the marketing, giving them the tools to be able to compete with much larger agencies, actually competing even with carriers as well, works much more cost effective, and it's doing a service for both our agents and for the clients, for the customers.
For the clients, yeah.
Right.
Talk about the company, where you see it in the next 12 to 18 months. Where are you going? What's your strategy?
Okay, so we did announce actually just about a week ago, we just signed an LOI for a very significant acquisition that would actually more than double our revenue. And very well run. It's actually a family that's 3 generations in the business, and very strong, very well run. And we look for that. And also what we're now doing as we speak, streamlining our existing operation under the umbrella of RELI Exchange, cost efficiencies, cross-selling, marketing, and old-fashioned common sense with technology together.
No, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. So, and that would be why this could be a compelling investment opportunity for
Right,
somebody.
yes,
Yeah.
I do think so. If I could say that it's very compelling, comparing we're almost embarrassed to say that our market cap is a fraction of our annual revenue. So I think it's an excellent deal. In fact, I've put my own money in and bought shares, and have confidence.
Insider buying, that's one of those things that I know Wall Street likes to see.
As long as it's legal, right.
So what is the most exciting, would you say, thing about Reliance Global, where you're going as you build the business even
I
more?
think using the common sense, using the growing, we last year or so, less acquisitions, but now we're doing that. That's the way we grow. That's the way to exponentially grow, but smart acquisitions. Not overpaying and looking for good management in place. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, but we're streamlining. And the growth could be very substantial. We're looking for really big numbers. We're looking where it is now, and compared to what actually I did in the private world, it's minuscule. And we were looking for some much, much bigger things than this.
Okay. Well, sounds like maybe you have some great things ahead. So thank you so
forward.
much, Ezra.
Thank you very much. Okay.
The American Conservative Values Fund is an investment alternative for politically conservative investors who are looking for shareholder returns. And with me is Bill Flaig, the founder and CEO of ACVF. Did you create it, and why did you create this fund?
Yes. Well, first, thank you for having me on the program. And I've got my partner and I have over 25 years experience in ETF and mutual funds on the investment management side of things. And as we've seen the industry grow and our experience grow, we've seen thematic ETFs, ESG-oriented funds, but we didn't see anything growing that spoke to our values, that spoke to our value set. So we set off to create this American Conservative Values ETF 3 years ago, and we're really pleased with the results so far. To date, we beat the S&P 500 slightly in the 3 years, and we just got a Morningstar 4-star rating.
Wow. I mean, that's really good. And beating the S&P 500 is an accomplishment.
Yes.
Not a lot of funds do that.
Yes. We're not creating an expectation that we'll always outperform the S&P 500. We're just trying to provide a diversified portfolio with conservative values. What
is your investment thesis? How do you pick these companies?
The thesis is, and we're getting more and more validation of it, I suppose, is that companies that engage in political speech or deviate from maximizing shareholder value are, hurting the investors. Stakeholder value is sometimes called. So companies that are really focused on ESG or stakeholder value and at the expense of shareholders, we're trying to avoid those companies. So we have principled boycotts of 34 companies now, which represent about 25% of the S&P 500. So we exclude from the diversified portfolio the companies that we think are the most egregious towards conservative values.
Well, and we have seen a lot of politically motivated companies doing things and getting involved. And I've kind of wondered over the past few years, how is this going to turn out? Because it seems like you're alienating 50% of your customer base.
Yes. And that's, to me, and a lot of everyone, when they think about it, it's very alienating to do political speech. Either way, you're going to lose customers, you're going to upset employees. So there's, some businesses are built around, liberal values, and that's fine. But for anybody who's just got a regular business, it's dangerous to.
Yeah, we've seen Target and Bud Light, and there's been a lot lately.
Disney.
Yes, Disney is another one. So will your approach sacrifice performance at all?
It hasn't to date, as I said, and the portfolio, we build it to be diversified. We have all the sector exposure. It's a blend portfolio. It doesn't go towards value or growth. So the expectation is that it should be comfortable being an S&P 500 index replacement in the core part of the portfolio.
How do you decide which companies to boycott?
It's a qualitative decision. It's an actively managed fund. We are focused on issues that are resonating in the political community. Right now, since we've launched, I say most of our focus has been on companies that are suppressing conservative voices or denying conservatives access to their products. So debanking, deplatforming, social media, algorithm skewing against conservatives. That's been our main focus. But obviously, sanctity of life is important, as well as just liberal corporate activism.
Yeah, no, it's kind of shocking what's been happening in some of the corporations. How does boycotting their stock hurt the company?
It's a good question. And I mean, as consumers, we have power in the products we purchase, and which I think we're familiar with. But we actually have power in not investing in the companies themselves. So the companies need capital. One of the ways to get capital is the stock market. So by divesting the companies with enough size, it could drive the price down, affect the managers in their paycheck. I mean, I think Disney 18 months ago is a great example. There was such outrage over what was going on with them at the time. Their stock went down, I think, like 32%, and the CEO lost his job and was replaced with a new CEO. So I think that Disney is a good example of the power of, the marketplace to change leadership in a company.
Yeah. How can somebody find out more about the fund or invest in it? How does it fit into a portfolio?
It is intended to be a large cap core replacement, S&P 500, Russell 1000. I think a lot of people in their 401ks and IRAs, they own mutual funds that they'd be shocked with what they own. They are essentially owning, BlackRock, Disney, Starbucks, Google, Amazon, these companies, and they don't even know it. So there are options out there. They don't have to just blindly or begrudgingly invest in those portfolios.
Can somebody buy the fund directly from your website?
No, it has to be purchased in a brokerage account.
Okay.
And the ticker symbol, as you mentioned earlier, is ACVF, American Conservative Values Fund. If anybody types that into their software or search engine, it'll pull up information
Come
about
up
it.
just like a stock will.
Yes,
so,
exactly. Like
well, Bill, thank you so much. Very interesting.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks.
you for having me again.
Lameness issues, joint pain, and osteoarthritis can be difficult to treat and debilitating for an animal's health and well-being. Take control of lameness issues and joint pain. Introducing Spring with OsteoCushion technology. With just one injection, Spring with OsteoCushion technology targets the root cause of lameness issues, joint pain, and osteoarthritis, helping animals do what they do best.
PetVivo has an innovative tool to help manage osteoarthritis for animals. And with me is CEO John Lai, who's in town for a conference, a veterinary conference. So tell me about this conference and why these conferences are so important to your business.
Sure. I'm here for the U.S. Veterinary Conference at the Javits Center. And the conference has a lot of veterinary doctors. And what we do is we're able to present some of the clinical data that we just completed, and it's to educate the doctors how our product works and so on. And the importance of that is that our product is so innovative and disruptive to the industry. It defies what they have learned in the last 30 years on the approach to treating osteoarthritis.
Yeah.
Because it's a multimodal approach. They're used to starting off with NSAIDs, then hyaluronic acid, then they go to stem cells, and then joint replacement. Ours basically says, you do an injection, our particles mimic cartilage. Once it's in the synovium, it forms a scaffolding, and it lasts at least a year. They're not used to having products last so long.
Yeah, well, and there's probably a comfort level that they need to reach with something so new and innovative before they're ready to start using it in their
so
patients.
We have multiple studies on safety for cats, dogs, horses, and then you have studies showing the efficacy of each joint. We just had one come out about a month ago that we presented at the American College of Veterinary Surgeons. It was on ruptured cruciates, which is in humans their ACL. And the treatment for that generally is surgery, 100% of the time. Well, we had very good data that shows this could be a very good alternative to surgery on a lot of these dogs. So we're helping provide cost savings to the consumer for healthcare and providing a much better medical outcome for the animal. Instead of going through all that rehab and surgery, it's very stressful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the first quarter of 24. What do you have planned for that?
So actually at the end of this month, there is a major equine conference in San Diego called the American Association of Equine Practitioners Conference. It's the largest in the United States. And we actually have 2 of our vets that's been accepted to do major theater presentations talking about the use of our products in different applications for horses. So we're pretty excited about that because that draws and educates a lot of veterinary doctors to learn about our product and the various uses. And the first quarter, we have the Veterinary Medical Expo in Orlando. It's the largest small animal vet show. Well, actually, there's also equine vets there, but it's mostly small animals in Orlando, Florida, second week of January. And there we have a couple of outside veterinary doctors that will be presenting to the whole conference on Spring and the potential alternatives to surgery and stuff like that. So we're pretty excited to have that one. And we have data coming out at each one of those conferences from studies. And also we have what is called an adverse event team. So every company needs to track that for the FDA. And I think we're going to see some very good numbers coming out on Spring probably 1/3 of the lowest that's in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean lower than the third, which is the lowest. Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, please keep us up to date. I know you will, as all this data comes out, and best of luck.
Yep. Thank you, Jane.
Thanks, John.
Your data is vulnerable to hackers, with email being the cause of 91% of all cyber attacks. Introducing SKUR, Swiss-hosted, data-mine-free, private and secure solutions to protect your communications. Secure Mail offers secure and private email communication. Secure Messenger offers private and secure chats. Secure VPN encrypts your internet traffic and protects your digital identity. Regain your privacy today. Visit SKUR at sekur.com.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to your Sekur Privacy and Security segment. I'm Anna Berry with Alain Ghiai, the CEO of Sekur. Our weekly hack topic is recently a Michigan-based McLaren healthcare company confirmed that sensitive personal health information of 2.2 million patients was compromised during a, you guessed it, cyber attack earlier this year. So this is fascinating. The hackers, they have patients' names, date of birth, social security number, billing and claims, diagnostic information, prescription details. I mean, so much information that now is out there. So Alain, what happens now? I mean, how can we protect our information, especially when it comes to our social security number, our medical information? That stuff we do not want out there, especially in the hands of criminals.
Yeah, this is quite a huge hack. And we hear about these healthcare companies buying millions of dollars of fancy systems and HIPAA this and
you would think
HIPAA compliance and whatnot. You would think they'd be protected, but at the end of the day, we always say 91% of email of hacks come from emails. And it's just the most basic thing to know. And you notice the article mentioned they were in their system for weeks on end without the healthcare knowing about it. This is because the hackers are spying on key personnel. They know exactly, they monitor your emails once they're in there, and they know what you're doing to get into the back end, and that's how they get in. So we can't prevent that, but what we could do when we communicate with a doctor or healthcare or I don't know, a lab or anything, we should use a system like what we offer, which is a secure send feature on our Secure Mail, which essentially sends an email to, let's say, your healthcare provider with a link for them to click. You can also password protect the link or read limit, etc. And then they can read your email, download your records or whatever you're giving them, and they can use secure reply within that to communicate back with you. The difference is that we do our communication only within our secure servers, which is like a closed communication system, as opposed to sending an email with encryption key over the whole internet for somebody to intercept it. I think by now we've seen enough example that these so-called extra security measures are useless, because you're sending an email over the entire cyberspace, which basically with all the attachments that are not encrypted, and it's time to really take some protection. So I recommend heavily to use a system like ours that'll at least give you that protection.
I actually just did it the other day. I got some blood work done, and to send that from my lab to my doctor, I use Secure Send. It's very simple, and it's blood work, but still it's those simple little things that we can do, shifting from that open source email where we can, maybe peruse some online deals, but we don't send our information, our banking, financial information over that email. We do it through the Secure Send. The same thing with our medical records or any type of labs that we might get. So talk a little bit about this, almost like an adoption. You have to migrate over to the secure mentality, if you will. You have a few different services, including a VPN, and you have a promo code that we want to make sure our viewers capture that promo code today.
Yeah, so you can still use your other emails for your basic thing. You don't need to migrate everything to Sekur. If you do, you go to our tutorial, you go to sekur.com under help, there's tutorial. We also have online chat support weekdays, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we do offer a lot of support for that. But if not, you just get your Sekur email and then your other email for your other things. The promo code that we offer gives you 15% off for the next 5 years on anything. And also, yes, you're right. I would recommend getting the VPN because the VPN will not put you in the US. It will render you invisible because you're in Switzerland. So when you go to your healthcare provider website and you're surfing the net, etc., use that VPN because it will, first of all, encrypt your connection a lot more. And it will also make it look like you're in Switzerland. So you're not the IP, the typical IP, Internet Protocol address that these hackers swoop and attack. And that's critical to make yourself in stealth mode, especially when you surf the net. So I'd recommend buying the VPN and the email combo. You get a better deal, and then you can use them all the time. My VPN is on all the time. I literally, and if I shut down my phone and restart it, I turn it back on and it stays on. So I'd recommend that kind of protection.
There you have it. The promo code is privacy because privacy has arrived with Sekur. Well, great speaking with you, Alain, and everyone, please join us again next week for another topic on the Weekly Hack.